यहाँ से टेंशन नहीं एक लगाने के बाद दूसरा लगा देंगे। ये फायदा तो इसमें थैंक यू बॉस। ये तो टेंशन नहीं है। दादा एक पिन लगा दो।
Captain Prashant, Runmakers, to please join us on the stage, please. Congratulations, sir. We'd love to hear from you, sir. Can't wait. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and children. Some children running around. Look at them with interest because they are the next potential seafarers. क्या करूं? मैं नहीं करता हूं. You have to look after these things. And जो मोदी जी ने हमारे ऊपर बोला है कि इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर increase the footfall of Indian seafarers at sea. So the industry looks after them. We have to look after them and nurture them. Okay, on a more somber and a more serious note, Mr. Printing Press saluted in the same way, the gentleman was with us, who expired recently. He was the captain superintendent of our batch, and I think many here who have served on Rajendra will remember him fondly. He has been the guiding light, and because of him, we are what we are today. He gave us the stepping stone towards the industry. Before we move, I would like to thank Captain Sunil Nangia, Sangeeta. They are doing a wonderful job year after year. 17 years have just passed, and I've been fortunate enough to attend all the functions that he has hosted. And he does it with such a big heart, never expecting anything in return, only the good wishes of the industry. So we all join him in thanking you. Talking about the fleet management, yes, last year, 2017, and part of this year has been very challenging for us. This was the first time when we faced an adverse situation where the ship owner deserted us, deserted the ships, deserted the crew on board, more than 180 of them, and we stood by the seafarers, we stood by the ship, maintained them, gave them everything they need, and also brought them back to the families. Thanks to the senior team in Hong Kong, Mr. Rajwanshi and Captain Hari Banga, and my colleagues all over India who supported me in supporting the seafarers at sea. So thanks for this wonderful evening, and thanks for the award. Enjoy the evening.
Yes, maybe present the award,
so much,
sir, please. And can we have everybody come together for the photograph, please?
Just excuse me, can I call my team, my fleet management team with me? Can the team join me, please?
Please put your hands together.
No award is possible without a team, so thanks to the team effort, please join me. Including Captain Nagarajan, who has come all the way from Hong Kong.
Requesting everybody to please move slightly forward for the photograph, please. Please slightly forward, sir, for the photograph. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is what true team spirit is all about. Let's have a huge round of applause. let's have a huge round of applause for the Green Company of the Year, MSC Ship Management. Inviting Mr. Prabhat Jha and Captain MP Bhasin to please join us on stage to receive this most coveted award. Also being joined by Neeta Jha, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Congratulations, sir. Please tell us more about this green initiative and your campaign. Sir.
Yeah, Captain Bhasin. Yes.
Thank you. We are very honored to have this award from Cello today in front of your gathering. Thank you. Mr. Prabhat, Mrs. Neeta Jha.
Good evening, Sela today. Thank you, Captain Nangya, Madam Sangeeta Nangya, our selection award committee. At the same time, I would like to thank you to all the esteemed government officials and our industry colleague present here. Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to receive this award for MSC Ship Management for its recognition for the caliber and the high performance of our fleet and enduring focus to seafarers' care and professional development. Despite of tough market condition in our industry, MSC continued to invest in modern green fleet, and it will continue to meet the requirements of successful and growing shipping line. MSC manages and maintains the fleet. It is important that it is with a clear and green efficiency, and at the same time, I would like to say that enduring and we are very focused towards sustainability and environmental friendly way. I convey my thanks to all our seafarers, our masters, chief engineers, crew, and our shore staff, MSC, Ukraine, and Cyprus. At the same time, I would like to thank to our founder, owner, Aponte family, who owns and manages the group of companies MSC and employs over 70,000 people worldwide. I thank you for this prestigious award. Thank you very much.
Prashant Rangnekar to please join us on the stage, please. Congratulations, sir. We would love to hear from you, sir. Can't wait. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and children. I see some children running around. I look at them with interest because they are the next generation of budding seafarers. क्या करूँ? Manning करता हूँ. We have to look after these things. And जो मोदी जी ने हमारे ऊपर बोला है कि industry के ऊपर increase the footfall of Indian seafarers at sea. So the industry looks after them. So we have to look after them and nurture them. Okay, on a more somber and a more serious note, Mr. Pinto rightly saluted the spirit of Mr. Chaco. In the same way, this gentleman who was with us, Captain Inderjit Singh, who expired recently, he was the captain superintendent of our batch, and I think many here who have served on Rajendra will remember him fondly. He has been the guiding light, and because of him, we are what we are today. He gave us the stepping stone towards the industry. Now, before we move, I would like to thank Captain Sunil Nangia, Sangeeta. They are doing a wonderful job year after year. 17 years have just passed, and I've been fortunate enough to attend all the functions that he has hosted. And he does it with such a big heart, never expecting anything in return, only the good wishes of the industry. So we all join him in thanking you. Talking about the fleet management, yes, last year, 2017, and part of this year has been very challenging for us. This was the first time when we faced an adverse situation where the ship owner deserted us, deserted the ships, deserted the crew on board, more than 180 of them, and we stood by the seafarers, we stood by the ship, maintained them, gave them everything they need, and also brought them back to the families. Thanks to the senior team in Hong Kong, Mr. Rajwanshi and Captain Harry Banga, and my colleagues all over India who supported me in supporting the seafarers at sea. So thanks for this wonderful evening, and thanks for the award. Enjoy the evening.
Yes, maybe present
Thank
the
you so
award,
much, sir.
sir, please. And can we have everybody come together for the photograph, please?
Just excuse me, can I call my team, my fleet management team with me? Can the team join me, please?
Please put your hands together.
No award is possible without a team, so thanks to the team effort, please join me. Including Captain Nagarajan, who has come all the way from Hong Kong.
Requesting everybody to please move slightly forward for the photograph, please. Please move slightly forward, sir, for the photograph. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is what true team spirit is all about. Let's have a huge round of applause.
Hello. A very good evening to one and all. A very good evening to one and all. Our chief guest, Dr. Malini Iyer, is on her way. So we are delayed by some time. But thank you all for coming here. Until that time, I think the refreshments are ready. So you all can have the refreshments. As soon as she arrives, we'll start with the program. Thank you. I request all the delegates to kindly take their seats.
Very good evening to all of you. I would request everybody to please take their seats. Yes, sir. So Dr. Malini is already on the way. She is past Nagar. She should be here with us in 10 minutes. But we will start the program. Yes, so everyone can...
A very warm welcome to everybody. On behalf of Mindspeak, I, Dr. Radhika Vakharia, welcome you all to the Convention on Human Intervention in Maritime Industry, July 2018. I request Captain D.K. Mehta, sir, to kindly come forward and deliver the welcome address.
A very good evening to one and all. Sorry to announce that Dr. Malini Shankar, our chief guest, Director of Shipping chief guest, is delayed by a few minutes, and she should be here with us any moment. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead with this. And I also like to request honor by chief guest, our guest of honor, Shri Captain J.C. Anand, our speakers, everyone present here. Seafaring is a unique and unusual profession in almost every category. It is unlike any other job or career. There is a risk, danger, challenges, and even disconnection, but there can be hopefully be reward which makes up the negativities. Not everyone can become a seafarer. A person must have a strong mental stability and an established tough physics foundation, along with an adaptive and flexible attitude. If you do, you can find the life at sea adventurous and fun. But you must be aware that life at sea is not the comfort breakaway from the typical academic routine. Seafarer is a particular profession in which seafarers are usually exposed to several stresses that are related to the different duties on board ships. According to the research studies, seafarer is associated with mental, psychosocial, and physical stresses. The most important factor were separation from family, loneliness on board, fatigues, multi-nationalities, limited recreational activities, and sleep deprivation. Seafaring community today is associated with relevant mental health risk. People working on board are important, and the ships need good, qualified, and motivated seafarer to operate efficiently. Therefore, seafarers need to be provided with a proper tool and be adequately trained to be able to conduct their business in a safe and efficient manner. Little emphasis has been placed on honing the personal attributes of the seafarer. Yet the quality of the end product depends not only on the standard of education and training provided, but also on the basic human traits. The Convention on Human Intervention in Maritime Industry aims at bringing people from the maritime industry together to discuss what steps we all can take to develop and uplift the human element to seafarer. Seafaring is a very dynamic profession, and also seafaring is a very dynamic profession and also prone to difficult scenario, particularly in rough weather, piracy, collision, grounding, and so on. Most of the time, it is a human element which are responsible for it. So, it is very important to make strong this human element for seafaring, because our ships are safe when our men are strong, not only physically but mentally as well. Today's convention is a forum where we all can put forth our views and how to make the human element of seafaring strong. We will also have views and presentations from people of the industry who have spared their precious time today for this cause. Lastly, I would like to mention that I feel very proud that I am a seafarer myself. And today all of us gathered here also shows the concern everyone has for their fellow working on board. At the end of it, no matter what the situation is, but we are all from the same fraternity who surely wants to make a difference in some way or the other for our seafarer. I am grateful to everyone for being present here today. I hope you all will have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very happy and I feel very privileged that we are also associated with Sailor Society, and we have the ambassadors of Sailor Society here, a few of them. Our chief guest of honor, Captain J.C. Anand sir and Sandra Welch, who are supposed to be present here. J.C. Anand sir is here. Sandra Welch is unable to attend and reach here, so she has sent a short message. Basically, Sandra joined the charity in 2014, overseeing chaplaincy work in 85 ports across 26 countries, innovative welfare application development, charities wellness at sea program, building houses, schools, medical centers for seafaring communities torn apart from the typhoon in Philippines. Sandra Welch, as well as her work, she has worked with the Salvation Army for 18 years. She is doing tremendous work with Sailor Society, and we are having a lot of work going on in India as well. So I feel very proud to be associated with Sailor Society. She has sent a message for everyone here. So let's have a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to welcome you to this convention, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to join you in person. But how brilliant it is that the human element is now firmly on the shipping industry's agenda. Our work at Sailor Society revolves around the human element at sea. And the Society invests in programs and activities to support seafarers and their families. Our Wellness at Sea program shines a light on this issue too, as it looks to improve seafarers' well-being through a holistic lens. Our program manager, Johan Smith, will be talking to you about this a little later in the program today. We fully endorse the program and the work of Dibs McCat in this area, and I look forward to hearing all the ideas and actions that will no doubt come out of this event today. Thank you.
They say old is gold, and I couldn't agree less, as we have Captain J.C. Anand amongst us today as one of our guest of honors. He loves to be introduced as ex-cadet number 386 Dufferin Badge 1938-1940. So that was the introduction that he gave to us. I request Captain J.C. Anand sir to please come forward and speak a few words on this occasion. Sir, please, can you come forward?
I'll just start out saying, fellow professionals, some of your captains of the industry, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. I'm not supposed, I just wonder what am I doing here? And I come to the old school and they asked me to give my biodata. So I said, all I said was, hello? Is that all right? All I said was, I'm X-ray, black 38 to 40, and my number is 86. So that's all I know, and that's why I can do this. So I said, oh, I know everybody here, so it's great. I must congratulate TT for what she's done. Whether she could also congratulate her husband who supported her, the family. It's something new which has come about, and very important. It's the need of the to see what's happening in the shipping scenario with regard to the personnel of the people and related subjects. But I'd like to share something. It's not the subject that I'm going to speak on. This is something to congratulate her and the family for what they've done. And she's done, I see that they have all the clients where they're giving seminars. Our chief guest is now let us speak first.
On behalf of Mindspeak, I would like to welcome our chief guest for today, Dr. Malini Shankar, Director General of Shipping. We are very proud and happy to have you amongst us, ma'am, today. They say light is a pretty universal symbol of truth, knowledge and understanding. It acts as a guide, keeping us from stumbling in the dark. We will begin the program by lighting of the lamp, which signifies positivity and shows a path ahead. I request our chief guest, Dr. Malini Shankar, Captain J.C. Anand, Captain D.K. Mehta, Dr. Dipti Mankar, and Captain Purushottam Badri to kindly come ahead and light the lamp. I request Dr. Dipti to kindly escort the guest on the dais. We are extremely happy to have amongst us Dr. Malini Shankar. I'm sure she needs no introduction. Dr. Malini Shankar is an officer of the Indian Administrative Service and is currently serving as the Director General in Ministry of Shipping. Her career spans more than 3 decades. Key assignments have been in industry, electricity and water sectors at policy level. Her career focus has been on introduction of technology and modern management systems and practices, as well as on citizen-friendly initiatives. In recognition of her professional achievements, she has been invited by academic and professional organizations to participate in policy making. She was a member of the government's task force for water policy and the sub-task force on urban water management. She was also keynote speaker at the Asian Development Bank's Second Asian Irrigation Forum in Manila in 2016. Dr. Malini holds a PhD in Public Policy and Institutional Economics from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras in Chennai. She's also a Master's in Business Management from Asian Institute of Management in Manila. On this occasion, I request Dr. Malini Shankar to address the audience at today's convention. Ma'am, could you please?
Dr. Mankar, Captain J.C. Anand and friends, stakeholders in shipping, and I'm sure all of you present here are ones who are interested in the human side of shipping as we see it. You know, we all take pride when an industry grows, whether it is shipping, whether it is IT, whether it's any industry. And oftentimes we forget that there are people that the industry seeks to serve, and there are people behind the industry who are serving the industry. Very often we forget this, the human being behind the machine, human behind the industry. And I think this is an opportune moment that we look at the human side of the maritime industry. If you look at the health reports that are coming out in recent weeks, and they're finding place in the front page of newspapers, it says that in spite of India not being a developed country, it's an emerging country. Mental well-being is of very big concern and at risk in all of India. What is surprising is, including the rural areas. We're facing the traditional family systems breakup. Competition is increasing at work. There is work-life imbalance. There's a lot of stress that is affecting everybody, and we all want quick results. All this is adding to a stress and to a burnout, which is not unique to shipping industry, and which is fairly common across several industries today. You know, compared to when we grew up, what we did as students, what we did as kids, you know, running around like scarecrows, playing hide and seek, or having lots of time to sit and invent games actually. Now I find that the present generation, I'm sure lots of you share this sentiment about, you know, they're very good at technology, extremely smart, they can, at management, but they are losing something on the side. I think it is in recognition of this that some of the nations have actually taken steps, and I don't know how many of us are aware that about 2 years ago, the government of France actually brought in a law saying that no person, whether working in government or non-government sector, shall be required to access government their work email 24/7. They actually brought in a law saying that there has to be 7-hour rest, irrespective of the sector they work in. And they forced every organization to have a nodal IT officer who will monitor this. There will be an audit, concurrent audit, as well as a forensic audit of the issue. And if you, from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., no one shall be forced to access the official email. So we may ask what happens to people who are on a 24/7 job almost, or shift jobs. They made provisions for that also. They said if there is a shift job, then the IT officer of that company or government organization shall give it in writing as to which 7 hours is off for that particular worker. And France being France, they will actually monitor it, because I've lived in France for 2 years almost, and I don't think I've seen another developed country which has such respect for work-life balance. That is exactly what we are losing today, if you ask me. And we can see that it is not just, you can't categorize who is going to be depressed, who is going to fall prey to this stress, because all of us are aware, I think, in 3 years ago, Deepika Padukone, she came out with it. She said, that was a time, even in her recent interview, she says, she had fame, she had name, she had comforts, she had an excellent family to back her up. So it's not a question of, there's a family background which contributes to stress. And she said her 3 films had released in 2015, all of them did wonderful business. And she said, yet she found that, she couldn't deal with it, and there was something she was missing in life and lost in life. And today, when I was coming, we had scheduled on a Sunday evening, it should take 1 hour. I said, okay, 1.5 hours. Obviously, we are not realistic, we underestimate things. So I had time to I always put some newspapers wherever I'm going, so you can actually go through it. I opened the front page, and then it says, this is a 2-day-old Hindu newspaper which says, biking coach ends life in Goregaon apartment. I don't understand. Biking coach, obviously, and this is a lady biking coach. So if you are a lady biking coach, it means you have done extraordinary effort to get out of the models that is available in society, that you have to be a teacher or a doctor or an engineer or an IT professional. You've got out of that mold, thought outside the window, had parents who allowed you to do that. You were enjoying your job. I don't think you can become a biking coach if you don't enjoy the job. It's not, coding, decoding. And yet, why did she choose to end her life? It says depression arising from various reasons. Now, the reason I'm telling all this is, once in a while I keep hearing that the seafarers, yes, they have a tough job, they're away from home for extended periods, they are not able to contact home, they don't have an environment that is what we call normal on land to be able to get advice. But I think we should not lose the focus on, or keep focusing that it's only seafarers are going through this. These people who are biking coaches, people like Deepika Padukone, they have access to everything 24 hours by 7. So I'm wondering whether it has something to do with just lack of communication, being away from home, or is it an internal mindset? Is it a society that is causing this? Because if people on land like this who are successful, who are doing what they love, they do this, why are these things happening, leave alone, people at sea getting affected? I believe, and I will leave you with this thought, after living decades on this earth, I feel, I've begun to believe that everything is, or 90% is mind over matter. There are real problems. Matter is a real problem. If you fall sick, if you get a flu, it is real. You can't wish it away with the mind. But there are several things I've experienced that it's mind over matter. And to this, I think there are a lot of mental health articles, professional articles and ordinary articles which are coming out saying it's not enough to say, think positive, be optimistic. Because if you're being optimistic all the time, like I feel, okay, I will reach this place in 1 hour, and then you take 2 hours, you're not being realistic. So it's not just a question of being optimistic or being positive. It has much more than that, and I think it's got to be inculcated right from the beginning. If you ask my personal opinion, and this should not be quoted in a newspaper anywhere outside the home, but I think that the present generation has got things much easier than our generation. We had to fight for every single thing. And the classic example I give is, in our days, if there is somebody who came back from abroad, and they brought you chocolates, that was the biggest joy, am I right? And you waited for, that was your favorite uncle because he brought you your best chocolates. And you were so happy with it, you ran around with it for days together. Today, the kids have everything they want. You can get anything you want. I have problems. What do I give as a present to anybody, especially young? I don't know, because I've seen the kids have everything, and when you give them something, okay, enjoy. Whereas in my days, that present was enough to take you for the next week, 10, 15 days, whatever, and you keep wondering which uncle is now coming back from abroad to get you something you like. So it's a training of the mind. It's how we as society want to bring up our next generation to say that you have to be thankful for everything and you have to work for everything. I'm sure that, many people will share my experience of, have the same experience of, if you ask your parents for something, you start earning and then you can get what you want. But right now it's what we give you. And now it's the opposite. No, beta, we'll give you everything, but we want you to do well. We want you to be happy. So the other day, Dr. Shetty was speaking in the Seafarers Day, National Seafarers Day program, and he said, aren't we confusing pleasure with joy? It's at first, when you first hear it, you say, what is the difference between pleasure and joy? But if you think deeper and deeper about it, I think we are confusing pleasure with joy. And while I think, nothing can substitute human relationships and your internal happiness for giving you the kind of real pleasure, I'm very glad that people have got together and developed this tool which will help identify points of distress and actually how to deal with it, how to address it, and how to ensure that our young seafarers, and I say young seafarers because when you look at the profile of seafarers having problems, which whatever minor data we have, we find that it is the younger ones who have this stress, and I guess it's like getting over the top of the hill. Once they actually get into it and find the rhythm, then there is not too much that disturbs them beyond that. It's a new profession, they go to the ship, it's a new environment, and I think our training programs, our training institutions, unlike the Chanakya of yore, they are not preparing them to say that, they're just giving them the technical inputs, but how much are they telling them this is what you have to be prepared for when you go to sea? And while the Chanakyas were ruling the world, I think the documentation was not so much. There was more time, the turnaround time was there, you could get shore leave, so there were a lot of things that you people know better than me. So in this context, I'm very, very glad that Dr. Deepti has developed this tool and you've got the IPR for it. Congratulations for the same. And I'm so glad that you're taking this forward so that more and more seafarers in the entire community will benefit from it. I'm extremely, extremely happy to be here and to support the efforts of Dr. Deepti. I assure you that I tried my best to come on time, and in fact I told her you have to start at 5:30. But my apologies for that. I just told my batchmate who's a municipal commissioner saying your signages have to improve in the road. And for the benefit of the Mumbaiites, he replied to me immediately saying they've given a contract for improving signages, and after the rains you will see that the signages improve. So that's another good news I give you. Thank you so much and wish you the very best in your initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for supporting the cause of seafarers and also for addressing the same at this convention today. I now request Captain D.K. Mehta, sir, to present a token of appreciation to Dr. Malini Shankar. Thank you, Captain Mehta. Thank you, ma'am. I request Dr. Dipti Mankar to present a token of appreciation to Sri J.C. Anand sir. I request our volunteers to kindly clear the table. Assessing human skills is foremost important to create professionals. The need for it in the maritime felt by Dr. Dipti Mankar, who along with her mentors, after thorough research, has developed the tool named as Multidimensional Assessment of Human Skills of Seafarers. I request Dr. Dipti, along with the dignitaries present here, to kindly unveil the MDA HSS tool to the audience. Dear volunteers, kindly get the tool.
This journey has taken nearly 2 years, and it would not have been possible without the inputs from all my validators. I am very, very happy that they are here today, and I have a day where I can celebrate this with them. So I would request Dr. Malini, ma'am, please, to
As I told you earlier, that the tool is the joint efforts of Dr. Dipti along with her mentor validators. And today we would like to felicitate each one of them for contributing their time, effort and expertise to this particular tool. In order, I would like to introduce our first validator, Captain Purushottam Shankar Barve. He joined training ship Dufferin in 1948. After serving his time in Scindia Steamship Navigation Company, he joined the Directorate General of Shipping as Nautical Surveyor in 1961. Maritime training in India has benefited to a large extent by Captain Barve's keen interest and active guidance. Captain Barve's expertise is not confined to India, but also has been utilized by IMO as a consultant to neighboring nations like China, Bangladesh, Kazakhstan. Known for his innovative and out-of-the-box thinking, Captain Barve is a notable leader of maritime industry and will always be held in the highest esteem by all those who have been guided by him. I now request Captain Barve to kindly come forward. Our next validator is Captain D.K. Mehta. Captain Mehta started as a cadet in 1966 and rose to the level of master in 1977 in Shipping Corporation of India. Pioneer in crude oil washing, specialized in gas carriers literage in Reliance Industry. With more than over 45 years of experience, he has handled various positions in SCI, Reliance and Goodwood Marine Shipping. Next we have Captain Yashovarman Sharma with us. Captain Sharma is currently the Director of True North Competence Management. He is a guest faculty and co-chair of Management Development Programs for Shipping, Ports, Aviation and Infrastructure. He headed the International Maritime Training Center for 12 years prior to his retirement. He sailed worldwide for 25 years. He is an alumni of training ships Dufferin and Rajendra and was awarded the President's Gold Medal on passing out in 1973. Captain Sharma has made his presence felt in the maritime industry. Next we have Captain Shyam Jairam, ex-director of CLN Management Services Private Limited and alumni of T.S. Dufferin 1970-72 batch. His career extended for 15 years in various capacities. He is the founder director of CLN. He was the chairman of MASA from 2005 to 2008. Sir, kindly come forward.
Sir, look here. Sir.
Next we have Captain A.K. Behel. He is the President and COO of RB British Marine. He has sailing experience on board all type sizes of state-owned shipping corporation of India ships, including oil tankers, VLCCs in ascending rank from cadet to master between 1973 to 1989. Later, in early 2004, he set up Indian Office of British Marine, a London-based British flagship owning company in 2004. He has hands-on experience in nearly all aspects of international shipping. Next we have Captain Mohan Naik with us. He is the director of Dynacom Tankers, which manages over 120 shippings. He has a vast maritime field experience of over 25 years. He is a qualified master mariner and extra mariner.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Thank you, Captain Mohan. We have Captain Anand Shingadgiri. He plays a dual role as Head of Training, Volume Maritime Training Private Limited and General Manager, QMS, Volume Ship Management India Private Limited. A marine professional with expertise in the field of maritime training, quality management, marine human resources. He was selected by Company of Master Mariners of India and DGS Government of India to support the Indian delegation in Maritime Safety Committee's 96th session and 97th session in IMO headquarters in London. Kindly come forward, sir. Thank you, Captain Anand. Our next validator is Captain Vishwas Moge, who is not here with us today. Next we have Captain Kamal Chadda. He is the Managing Director of the Marix Media Group, a company with Global Associates. In its 19th year now, the Marix Group publishes several print and online magazines for the shipping industry and for fitness and nutrition sector. His favorite quote is by late Abdul Kalam, former President of India, which says, "If you want to shine like the sun, then first burn like the sun." Thank you, Captain Chadda. Next we have is Captain C.L. Dubey. He is the principal and owner of Mumbai Maritime Training Institute, a science graduate and extra-mariner. His training institute, MMTI, was awarded by OFING as Best Institute in Competency Courses from Northwest Zone in 2018. He has almost 26 years of teaching experience in the maritime institution. So we have a teacher here.
Sir, please stand for photograph.
Thank you, Captain Dubey. Next we have Captain Pradeep Chandna, a master mariner. He has sailing experience of more than 18 years with companies like the Shipping Corporation of India. His other experiences include capsized bulkers and tankers. He has 4-year experience in real estate as a developer and builder. In the maritime training since 1999, he is the principal and director of ACE Maritime Institute, OERC Academy, and Ocean Education and Research Institute. Next we have Captain Harjeet Singh. He joined Merchant Navy as Direct Deck Cadet, boarded first vessel of Jayanti Shipping Company. He served as superintendent and at various positions in the maritime sector. He has received the Bharat Jyoti Award Certificate of Excellence for meritorious outstanding performance and remarkable role by Dr. Bhishan Naren Singh, the former governor of Tamil Nadu in Assam. Okay, so would you receive it on his behalf? Kindly go ahead, sir. Next we have Mr. Praveen Chaudhary. He is the training and technical manager as a professional marine engineer with 20 years of sailing experience and 12 years ashore in training. Experienced in conducting various simulator-based trainings, modular courses, in-house training course and seminar. Presently, he is conducting the in-house ME engine simulator course in Mumbai, company office of Goodwood Shipping Management. Thank you, Mr. Praveen. Next, we have Captain Rohan Sabnis, an experienced, qualified and strategic thinker with 16 years of experience in maritime industry. He has sailed on different kinds of vessels. He is a member representative of the Board of Governing Council of Sir Muhammad Yusuf Seaman Welfare Foundation, a trained trainer for Swedish Club Academy for facilitating marine resource management and internal auditor, American Bureau of Shipping. I request all the validators to kindly come forward for a picture, for a group picture, please.
Okay, all of you look here, look here.
Thank you, everybody. I would now like to invite Captain Yashavarman Sharma to address the audience.
not common for anybody in a public forum to speak their mind. But this is Mind Speak convention, so maybe, if with your permission, I should speak my mind. Thank you. 1 hour 55 minutes to kick off. That's on my mind right now. But I have 5 minutes. I stand in front of you to getting break here. I stand in front of you to represent all the validators. So on their behalf, it's my honor and privilege to talk a little bit about the journey which resulted in, where's the book? Yeah. Yeah, it's over. Yeah, I want it in my hand. I just, sorry. No, it's outside. Yeah. Yeah, so what has been just unveiled by Madam Dr. Malini Shankar. And so, it's, as they say, strange are the ways of the Lord. And where is Johan? Yeah, would you kindly please stand up just to, for everybody to know. Some things must have conspired somewhere out in, beyond your control. What have we got here? That brought us together in November of 2016 in Goa. Johan invited us to the first program of Wellness at Sea, Train the Trainer, and I had the, he accepted me to be there, so that was great. Thank you very much. One of the participants in that program happened to be Dr. Deepti Mankat, who I had met before but didn't know much about. And if I may, without hurting anybody's feelings, reveal a little bit of, interesting things about her father, Dr. D.K. Mankat, right here. He called me up and said, yeah, you're going to Goa, my daughter's going to be there, can you just keep an eye on her? So I said, in what manner, So it turned out he's just a concerned father, right? So when I did land up there and I introduced myself to Deepti and said, well, you better keep an eye on me. You are more qualified than I am in that sense. Journey started there. The great program that Johan conducted kind of sparked off a need for seafarers to be addressed differently from just technical skills and so on, and look after their so-called mental well-being, mental health. And I think Deepti took that step forward to initiate some kind of, well, they call it tool, but I would think more it's a sort of aid to understand, for the seafarer to understand himself better, and for his employers also. Check again. Give me another mic. Yeah, great. Thank you. And for the employees also, to see what they can do to make life easier for the people who they employ. Not in the sense easier as in less strenuous, but easier, mentally, emotionally, and therefore to be able to perform better as well. So Deepti assembled this group of validators, created the first of the questionnaires, sent it around to us to look at, to offer our comments, maybe some corrections, and from the first one, then it went on to the second and the third, and I think there is total nine different aspects where a seafarer may be able to answer the questionnaire and get some sense of what his mental makeup may be. And from there, what can be done to address possibly areas of concern. So that's what it is all about, isn't it? Our role as validators is not really very great. Most of the work is done by Deepti, of course. Our role, you could say, would be more course correction. or just keeping on track. You know, a little bit adjustment here and there, you know, a comma here, full stop here, dot the I's, dot the T's, cross the T's kind of stuff. But yeah, from whatever combined input and experience of so many years of sea life, which we all have, I hope we were able to give Dipti some useful inputs that you could incorporate into the set of questionnaires. So let me end with just emphasizing what Dipti has put here in the concluding remarks at the bottom. You'll be able to read it. I don't have to read it, it's right there on my mind. These tools are not to be used for assessing seafarers from the point of view of their suitability for sea life or otherwise. This is not a pass-fail test, never intended to be. And never should be. Things like these, you know, I mean, we have psychometric testing going on at various levels for entry level seafarers. But if a person answers truthfully all the questions and it turns out to be not suitable, that's being unfair, isn't it? Because all of these questionnaires only work if the person is honest in his answers when he's looking at the questionnaires. You can beat the system. If you know you want to be selected by a particular company and these are the questions, what should be the expected right answers, it's not difficult to figure that out. So once again, I repeat what's written here. Don't use for testing. Use for development. You know, to find out where the person you have selected may need some assistance, make him stronger mentally, more healthy. That's the very idea, isn't it? I will repeat that. And with those words, I thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir, for letting us know what the tool is all about. As we say, it is not to weed out anybody. So the essentiality or the objective of the tool is not to weed out anybody from the system, but to develop them further. We have a number of speakers lined up for today's convention. And we will have a brief introduction of all of them, followed by their felicitation. First, we have Mr. Johan Smith. Mr. Johan Smith in 2010, he's associated with the Seafarers Wellness Program and was born in South Africa. Johan Smith, at that stage a port chaplain in the Port of Cape Town, developed the program with the assistance of Cape Peninsula University of Technology, Seafarers Rights International, the ITF Seafarers Trust, International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network, Maritime Piracy Humanitarian Response Network, Seafarer UK. Meanwhile, an industry-led advisory group met with Sailor Society to discuss crew attrition rates and complex problems of maintaining wellness on board. The discussion highlighted the need for a dedicated program to prevent such situations. With Johan at the helm as project manager for the program, the Society has adapted and developed Johan's initial course to create today's Wellness at Sea program. Next we have with us Mr. Chetan Sangani and Mr. Milind Mankar. Both are directors of Miras Group since past 12 years now. They have been dealing with water and wastewater treatment in industries and marine service nationally and globally. Miras has spread its reach not only in Asia but across continents of Europe, Middle East and North America. I request Dr. Malini Iyer to kindly felicitate our speakers for, I'm sorry for the error, Dr. Malini Shankar, to kindly felicitate our speakers for today. My apologies, ma'am. Mr. Johan Smith, can you come forward? Can we have Mr. Chetan and Mr. Milind ahead? Thank you, ma'am. I would now call upon Dr. Dipti Mankar to explain the multi-dimensional assessment of human skills of seafarers.
Yes, so before we begin with this, one quick thank you to all of you for being here. And these assessment tools has taken 2 years, and these dimensions were thought of after actually seeing certain activities on bridge simulator. So I really thank IMTC for this, because the actual idea which got incepted in my mind was once I started doing bridge simulator assessments. So it really gave an insight that sometimes people are technically really sound and still somewhere they were faltering on the bridge on the simulated exercises. And sometimes it was poor communication, sometimes it was they were not able to deal with the team as a team, and sometimes it was the master who was playing the role of a master was a little egocentric. So these observations were quite new to me at that time, that how when you're working as a team, how is it that they are not able to still perform? How is it that they're colliding, or why is it that they're not working together as a team? So that's what led to actually starting of the idea of multi-dimensional assessment. So I will quickly run through what were the 9 dimensions which we thought of, and just to give you a brief insight into that. So as we all know, and we have been discussing, that of course this is not only a problem for seafarers, but this problem is also for other people around. In fact, when I visit offices in Bombay, also when I have interaction, I see the staff who are especially into crewing and manning, they are so stressed when I look at them, that they are always running with time, 24/7 their calls are on, something wrong is happening on the ship, and they are also on the toes all the time. Sometimes you may get a call at 3 in the morning and you're answering, trying to sort out. So it is at both ends, I feel. So let's quickly look into what this assessment is all about. Sorry, just excuse me. Yes, so what were the 9 areas which we all have worked, and I'm going to use we because I attribute this to myself and all the validators who are very nice enough to go through all these tools. So the 9 tools which I have focused on is emotional intelligence, interpersonal communication, adaptability, leadership, assertiveness, mentoring, teamwork, stress test, and self-motivation. So these were the 9 areas which was the prime focus. Each tool has around 30 to 40 questions, and these can be used in combination to check your seafarers how they are in any of these human skills. Let me tell in advance that these are tools designed to check human skills. It is not a psychometric test. It is just to see where you stand as far as that skill is concerned. Because sometimes some people are lacking assertiveness. And because they lack assertiveness, and that's the reason they are not able to perform their duty how they are supposed to, when especially on the issue of a master. So you are a leader, your bridge team is going to look up to you at that point of time to see that whether you are actually playing the role of a leader, how they have imagined in their minds. So these tools are only going to give you an idea as to where they are standing in these skills. So these are the 9 skills which we have designed. The first one, of course, very, very important, in fact I feel the most important, is emotional intelligence, which is also known as EQ. So emotional intelligence is basically a tool which will tell you that how are you as a person as far as your emotions are concerned. So are you able to understand your own emotions well? Are you aware of the other person's emotions well? Are you able to deal with a stressful situation? Are you going to break down under some stress? How is your nature towards people when you are interacting with them? So emotional intelligence is the ability basically to identify and manage your emotions and the other people's emotions. So basically when we talk about EQ, we are focusing on 5 dimensions here. So the first one is of course self-awareness. Say for example, you may have a person on board who is extremely short-tempered. Right? So if he is extremely short-tempered, but is he aware that yes, he has a problem with his temper or not? Only if we are aware of our shortcomings can we do something about it. So the first is of course self-awareness. Now when I'm aware that I have an issue, I will try and regulate myself in order how the situation is at that point of given time. And of course, social skills, how am I with people? Do I communicate well with people or not? Empathy, do I understand the other person, what that other person is going through? You know, many times when I do counseling and I come to know, especially when you're doing courses, and they tell us, we are on ship, the office doesn't understand what we are doing. We are just told what to do, but they are not here. But I feel the grass is greener on the other side. But the fact is, both of them have stress, but the situations are different, the environment are different in which they're functioning. And of course, motivation, whether they have it in them, are they motivated enough to carry on their jobs well or not? So these are the 5 dimensions of the first tool, that is emotional intelligence. Then of course, we have the second tool, which is interpersonal communication. Of course, when Johan will be addressing this, and of course they have wonderful statistics to share with you, and interpersonal communication is attributed as, I think, number 1 reasons for why mishaps are happening on board the vessel. So this tool of interpersonal communication focuses on 4 areas. Firstly, whether that person is able to send out a message clearly or not. So if I'm speaking something to you, I'm understanding it the way I want you to understand it. The second area, listening. So how good is a listening skill of that person? The third is giving and getting constructive feedback. And the fourth one is, of course, handling emotional interactions. Now, I had done a pilot study for this tool, and amongst all the seafarers, all senior seafarers were there who had attempted, and you'll be surprised to know that most of them scored the lowest in the second category, that is listening skill. They scored very high on the first one, that is sending messages, because we love to speak, we love to command, we love to tell people what to do, But when it comes to listening, their listening is on the lower end. So when we did the assessment, we did a pilot run on this tool. Surprisingly, we found that the listening skill among seafarers was lower compared to the other areas on interpersonal communication. Then, of course, the third tool which we have is focusing on adaptability. Now, this actually I made specifically keeping in mind the young seafarers. You know, when they go on to ship, yes, of course, they have a very different picture. I'm sure everybody will agree with me that the true sense of when they're going on the ship only hits them when they're on the ship for the first time. Because they've never gone to a ship before. They don't know. And the kind of image and perception they have is very, very different. So, of course, adaptability is also one of the tools which will help us to know that how serious they are about their career choices. Will they put in extra effort to work on their knowledge, on their skills or not? How adaptable they will be to the new work environment in which they are going. So that was the tool which we focused on adaptability, keeping in mind the young seafarers. Now if they get assessed on these tools, at least we get a picture whether how set is their mind to go up for this career choice or not. Then we have the next tool, which is leadership. I'm sure all of us sitting here are leaders at some given point of time, but not everyone can be a good leader. You know, so I always feel that there are two types of leaders. One who is appointed leader because of the hierarchy, the rank system. So you are the leader, you're the boss. And one who has inbuilt in him the leadership skill, and he can be a leader at any given situation. Can take up. You know, there are times where the master has also gone blank and someone else, maybe a chief officer, has taken over and handled that situation. I'm sure we have come across such instances as well. So how good you are as a leader. Leadership skills we see, especially I think it's a very nice tool to use it at a time when we're looking for promotions of your officers. So when to see whether that person really has those skills of leadership. Or are you making him a leader because now he's reached a particular age, he's served so many years as a chief officer, so now we want to make him a master. So what are the criteria which you're looking at? And that's why I feel leadership skill is extremely important, and that's what this tool is all about. The next tool from multi-dimension is assertiveness. This we have found, you know, Captain Iyer is here, and I'm so glad he's here. He's taught me a lot on bridge simulators, and there used to be a time when we used to have briefing with the people who have undergone simulation, and we used to give a comment, you know, you need to be more assertive, you're not assertive. And that's the reason you faltered in taking this decision, and that's why that person was not listening to you. And that is very, very true. Today when you're in a position, especially on a bridge, or you're in high-risk professions, you need to be assertive. And that is something also, when we did a pilot run, we found that assertiveness was to a moderate level only. And that is alarming because we want people to be assertive when they are on ship. And so as to they are able to carry out their duties well, and the team is able to take you seriously. And that is what this all tool is about, that whether you are assertive enough or not, if not, what can we do to make you realize and take you towards a path where you can start becoming more assertive in life. The next tool focuses on mentoring. Now this actually, when I thought of this tool initially, I was not going to do it on this, but as I was taking a lot of mastery validation classes, I realized that some of the masters are saying it is not our job to train people who come on ship, they should know when they're joining the ship. But you know, when I met so many other senior people whom I've spoken with, like J.C. Anand sir, I had a very good afternoon with him once, and he told me at our times, we were taught by hand. We were taught by our masters, they used to spend time with us, they used to teach us. Today that teaching is gone on board. And that is the reason why I had thought of mentoring. People feel that it is not our job to teach. But I feel if you're a master, if you're a leader, it's very essential that it's an obligation. Wouldn't you do it for your children? I mean, of course you would. We want to be mentors for our children whether they like it or they don't like it. Right? So on ship, when we're talking about human element, when we're talking about it's a family, we're talking about it is your own place to be, then why are we stepping down on mentoring. I think one thing which is lacking today for the youngsters on board is mentoring. So whether the people whom you are putting on board, your seniors, do they have the mentoring skills? And if not, as a company, what are you doing to foster that skill in them to make good, productive seafarers for your own company? The next tool focuses on teamwork, very, very essential. It is all about teamwork, of course. And this again, like I said, with observation, I realized that sometimes some simulator activities are fantastic. We saw brilliant teamwork. But sometimes we saw that the teamwork was lacking. And somewhere we are just that, okay, this is my job, I'm going to do this and that's about it. But not extra efforts are taken that beyond my job, what else can I do to help someone else on board? Can I do that or not? So after mentoring, which I thought was again very essential, was teamwork. This particular tool will bring out whether that person is a good team player or not. Is he a productive team member in that entire team which you send on board or not? So this is what we focus on, teamwork. Stress test, of course. Now this stress test is not like running on a treadmill or something. This stress test was just to find out whether you are feeling stressed with your job or not. There are people who sometimes report that we are stressed. Now, a definition for stress is very difficult to find out. Like, okay, your stress means why are you stressed? Are you stressed because of the work, or are you stressed because of some other reason? And you'll be surprised to know most of the times when we have asked them that why is your stress score coming so bad? Why are you stressed? Is it the work on board? He's saying, no ma'am, I love my work on board. I said, then what is the problem? Family. Issues of family. Young people, issues of relationships. And it's not funny, there are I think the younger lot are still not very mentally adaptable to the life on board. Somewhere we are finding that attitude is a problem, yes, but we are also finding that they are emotionally not so strong to deal with the regular relationships also. Be it with their parents, be it with, if they are in a relationship or what. So stress test allows us to know at least whether that person is feeling stressed. If you get a lower score on this, okay, you're stressed, then at least we can counsel to find out why are you feeling stressed? What was going in your mind when you attempted this test? And then it can be taken on further. The last tool is self-motivation. Again, being in this profession, I think internally we all need to be motivated to go on ship. If you force someone to go on ship, at some point or the other, that is going to break down. That person is going to come back, or he will leave the profession or something. So this again, adaptability and self-motivation was given in combination to the cadets when we designed these tools as a pilot study. Just to find out how we will find whether they are motivated enough to go on ship or not. And surprisingly, the cadets who got a higher score on adaptability were having a higher score on self-motivation as well. So we could find out that there is a relationship in that. The more adaptable you are, it also shows how motivated you are to take on new things in life and to join a profession. So these were the 9 tools which we had done. Fortunately, the tools which are there, when they attempt it, they get a color coding like this. So you'll find I've divided it into 6 color zones. So for example, the pilot run which we had done, I have taken up one of them to show you. So interpretation of that, if you're in a gray zone, it shows that you're extremely low. So you really need to do something about it. The red zone is again showing a low level. Orange zone, fairly moderate levels. Yellow zone is moderate. Blue zone is high, and green zone is very high level. So these are the ways in which the 9 tools, there are 9 different codings for them. So when they attempt the tool, they will come in one of the color code. So if they are coming in the top 3, that is really alarming, because that means that somewhere they are not mentally ready for that particular thing. So we are trying to look into that. Once we get a color coding, then how can we help them once they come on a lower score? So we were fortunate enough to do a pilot run where I had taken a sample there were 55 in total. We also took from deck side and engine side. Both the engineers also attempted the tools, deck side also attempted the tools, and the cadets also, lower ranks have also attempted the tool. And in the pilot run, just to run through, we found that in interpersonal communication, overall it was found to be fairly good. Emotional intelligence, moderate level. Now this is a matter of concern which I thought, because EQ has to be higher in a person. But in the sample size which we took, it was seen that they were coming to a moderate level. So that is really alarming. Because EQ can be attributed, you can actually have so many theories which you can connect to with seafarers if they are coming to a lower level of EQ. Assertiveness was okay, fairly well, leadership was fairly good, mentoring was fairly good. So these are the areas in which we had focused the pilot run studies on. So the tools can be used in combination. So if I decide that, okay, I want to check some chief officer, then possibly EQ, interpersonal communication, leadership. You can use a combination of these tools to find out the relationship of his skills area and then try and work on that. So the whole objective of these tools is basically to find out where they are standing in those human skills area, so as to bring about a good constructive change in them, where they start working on themselves and they realize that we need to do a lot in this. And at the end of it, they will become more productive and better seafarers, I feel, at work and also in their personal life. So these are about the tools. Thank you so much for hearing. We will have our audience interactions after all the 3 presentations. So the toolkit which is given to you has details of all the presentations. So I can request you, as you are going through the speakers' presentations, you can also go through the handouts which are there. If you have any questions, we will be having an audience interaction after the 3 presentations. Thank you so much.
We have 90% of our goods transported by sea, and I think people should be concerned with the welfare of seafarers. Seafarers are facing many challenges in their day-to-day lives. They're spending time up to 9 months at sea, which in and of itself is a dangerous place. Over the last 3 years, I think Sailor Society has been repositioning itself as an innovator within the welfare sector. And I think Wellness at Sea fits very neatly into that strategy.
The wellness program, we believe, can be the difference in people actually having a really rewarding career at sea and something which for them becomes a nightmare. So the wellness program is a coaching program, so it's all about empowering people to look after their own wellness.
Wellness at Sea is about holistic well-being, and it covers 5 different areas, which include social, emotional, intellectual, physical, and spiritual well-being.
I think wellness at sea is extremely important. We've looked in the past at health at sea in terms of health and safety at sea, or physical health, but really we want to move beyond that in wellness to looking at the whole person.
Wellness at Sea app actually just underpins the training. So it's actually putting wellness into the hands of seafarers. It's giving them the tools to both monitor their own well-being, but also to inform themselves of what they should be concerned about, what they should be looking for, how to live a healthy lifestyle in all aspects of well-being.
Well, it benefits the ship owners because we believe that people who are happy and content in themselves are productive, and also a very important thing for the industry, they are safe in the work that they carry out.
The one thing you cannot afford to do is to stop investing in your crew, in your seafarers. Ultimately, I think there will be a price to pay for people who don't care for their seafarers.
So I think that it's in the economic best interest of the ship owner, as well as being something that's valuable to all the individuals involved.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for the opportunity to briefly talk to you about the Wellness at Sea program. I'm really privileged to be here. Over the last few years, I think India has really crept into my heart and it holds a very special place. I think it's probably because of the food, number one, and of course, I've always been welcomed in a kind and open armed way, which I really appreciate. So thank you very much for having me and allowing me to share a few thoughts with you. I want to start off by congratulating Deepti on what she has done, on her initiative. I really think it's great and I think it will make a difference in the industry. I want to thank your little children, your parents, your husband for allowing you time to spend on Wellness at Sea, but also on other initiatives that are equally important and that are really making a difference in the lives of seafarers. So just to kick off, I know that you've heard quite a bit about Sailor Society by now, but I would like to sort of give you some background information on some of the projects and some of the things that we are working on. This year we celebrated our 200th anniversary, so it is really special here, 200 years of caring for seafarers. Thank you. Caring for them at sea, in port, and also at home. So just to give you a short overview, just another quick video. Just to give you a very quick update on what we are currently doing in India, we've got people working in 7 ports at the moment. The names are up there. So we've got chaplain and other personnel assisting seafarers on a daily basis. We love technology and make use of it frequently. We have a very special app tracking every visit to every ship that happens, also tracking interactions with seafarers. And since the beginning of 2018, we've visited 2,715 ships. That was until Friday. We visited those ships in the ports in India, and we reached around 24,000 seafarers. So we are really serious about welfare and about assisting seafarers, and also about celebrating the profession that is seafaring. So if I can quickly talk about Wellness at Sea, many of you know the program by now. You would also know that in recent weeks we received the very prestigious Sea Trade Award for investment in people for the program, and we are very excited about that. Wellness at Sea asks a very simple question, and that question is, how are you doing? So many of you have asked me that question tonight. When I met you, you said, how are you doing? And I told you about the long flight, etc., etc. But if we really think about this and if we ponder on it, we soon realize that it's probably one of the most profound questions that we as human beings must answer on a day-to-day basis. So what does it mean to be well? To be well is much more than just being well in the occupational side of who you are. It means being well in everything that makes you, you. And that is quite a shift in terms of how we perceive seafarers, because traditionally seafarers were seen as these one-dimensional human beings. The only thing that really mattered was, did seafarers have the technical skills to take a ship from point A to point B? We are arguing, or a holistic approach is arguing, that there's much more to being a seafarer. To really acknowledge seafarers as human beings, we need to acknowledge them as holistic, multidimensional, and unique human beings. We advocate a new way in seeing things, in the sense that we must not only train seafarers as holistic and multidimensional human beings, but we must also view them in that way. And this is extremely important. I can talk a lot about wellness at sea, but ultimately at some stage we need to make a mind shift in the way we see people. And I think to a large extent the industry is slowly getting there. We are taking baby steps going there, but in some or other way we are currently getting there. Now this approach of holistic wellness implies that we need to see seafarers not only as the occupational human beings that they are, in other words, they are more than what they do. We also need to see them as social, emotional, physical, intellectual, and spiritual human beings. It is Carl Rogers in his theory of person-centeredness that says every person reacts to the world around them as an organized whole. In other words, when you react to a situation, you react with all your baggage, with all your background, with everything that you are. And we need to take that into consideration. So let's quickly run through the 5 areas of wellness, just to give you a brief overview. The first one we deal with is social wellness. At heart, social wellness deals with relationships. It deals with how we maintain and build relationships with both those on board and those back home. So the social side of things asks questions in terms of interpersonal skills and communication. If we think about communication, we think, but there's a lot of rules, regulations governing it, so what else can we do? But if you look at incident reports, it is apparent that it is not rules and regulations that fail seafarers, but instead it is their interpersonal skills. Research suggests that one of the three major factors in any maritime accident is actually interpersonal skills. And of course, if we talk about the social side of things, we must also talk about how we handle and manage conflict. How do seafarers handle and manage conflict? Conflict seems to be a very real part of being a seafarer. And then something like diversity comes to mind. Diversity asks questions about our capability to handle something like multinational crews. And of course, then the biggest factor of all, and it is this statistic here, when they asked seafarers to identify different stresses on board, they identified 23 different stresses, and of course the number one stressor was family. So the question is, to what extent do we assist seafarers to deal with all of these different issues? And this is one of the things that Wellness at Sea tries to do. The second aspect the program deals with is emotional wellness. So over the last few years, we've talked a lot about emotional wellness and specifically mental health. So if we look at that statistics, it is very concerning. You have read them all. They've been published in every maritime magazine on the face of the earth, saying that seafarers, let me get this absolutely right, on 18 May 2017, it was reported that seafarers now, that suicide is now the top cause of death in seafaring. So that is very alarming. And if we look at the statistics, for example, the ones from the UK P&I Club, we said in 2014, 4.4% of deaths reported to them was because of suicide. In 2015, the number more than tripled to 15.3%. It is very, very concerning. But ultimately, this is not about statistics. We run the risk of making seafarers statistics. And that is not the case. Statistics can motivate us to take action. But from where I am standing, if I can speak my mind, I think the thing that must really motivate us is the stories of seafarers. The stories of sitting next to the wife of a seafarer who committed suicide. The stories of talking to a small boy who sort of lost his father. That is the things that must motivate us. And I believe that the basis for our action in terms of this must not be statistics, but rather the outlook that one suicide in our industry is one suicide too many. And let me, if I may, speak my mind even more. I think, and maybe we can discuss this afterwards, that we are in the midst of a crisis. If we look at these statistics, if we listen to these stories, there's good reason to believe that we are in a very difficult place at the moment. And unfortunately, our talks about mental health has become fashionable So all of us knows enough to have a little conversation and to express our concern about these issues. But are we really taking action? Are we really trying to take the bull by the horns and really do something about this? Or are we talking about this because it's sort of the subject of the day, it's high on the agenda, it's fashionable to do a little something about mental health? And I'll leave that question with you. In my mind, we are in an extremely difficult place. In Richards Bay in South Africa, we recently had 3 suicides within the span of 7 days. That is a cry for help. That is a cry for something to change. So Wellness at Sea is not anymore just about training. It is about putting things on the agenda and challenging every one of us and asking, but what are we doing to actively change things? What are we doing to pursue a better life for the seafarers in our schools, in our companies? Or will we sort of take the approach that nothing has happened yet? If something happens, then we'll act on it. The question is, how serious are we? After hearing all the statistics, since 2014 this has been on the agenda, but unfortunately in my mind, and speaking my mind, I think very little has changed. Before I say too much, I'll move on to the next one is physical wellness. Physical wellness is something very interesting because in general companies spend billions of dollars on safety at sea. And I guess that because they spend billions of dollars, they've got quite a good safety record. So that is very important. But if you look at mortality rates, my apologies, I know the numbers on this slide is quite small. If you look at mortality rates, it's interesting if you look at the green bar on your right-hand side to see that more seafarers actually pass away because of disease than because of safety issues or any other issues. So the question would be, in my mind again, if we look at these illnesses and we see that they are lifestyle related, is there not something that we can do to equip seafarers to better deal with this and to really take charge of their own physical wellness? Physical wellness that goes beyond a physical checkup when you join your vessel. An interesting statistic, I will show it, it's quite an old statistic from 2016, but I'll show it in any case because it's relevant to India. They asked seafarers in India, do you think that the use of a condom can stop the spread of HIV? I know that we've had plenty of discussions in classrooms at the trainers about this and about HIV and whether it's a risk or not. But only 17% of the seafarers who replied to this, Indian seafarers, said yes, they do believe that the use of a condom can stop the spread of HIV. 45% said they believe that sharing food or a drink can transmit HIV from one person to the next. That is quite alarming. So again, the question is, do we have a responsibility to take this further and to discuss this further? Physical wellness deals with all of these different issues. When we talk about intellectual wellness, I'll just briefly say it, Captain Sharma, I'm very aware that the game is coming closer. So I'll just briefly say it. We deal with things like piracy. There's a lot of debate. Is piracy, is it on the rise? Is it going down? The reality is that seafarers fear piracy. So how do we assist them to handle these fears in a more positive and an uplifting way? If you think about seafarers' rights, I'll just skip past this very quickly. I'll leave it on afterwards and you can come and have a look at these statistics. It is apparent that seafarers' rights and the abuse of seafarers' rights is a very real part of our industry. So how do we equip seafarers to better deal with issues like this? The intellectual wellness module also deals with finances, and it also deals with welfare organizations. Welfare organizations talk about a lot of resources that are out there, that are free of charge to all seafarers. But unfortunately, in many cases,